Hello, Dragana. Nice to see you.
Hi, Davor. Nice to
virtually.
see you too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this in this interview, and I hope we'll have a great 30 or 40 minutes discussing HR, modern HR, what's next in the HR world, and so on. Just to give a bit of context, we know each other from Belgrade. You are from Belgrade,
Yep.
but now you are in
Slovakia, in Bratislava.
In Bratislava, and we worked in Banka Intesa Belgrade on different HR topics, and we'll started and hopefully will continue in Slovakia.
I'm sure we will.
Hopefully this situation will calm down. Eventually, it must at the end. Before we start, it could be nice to just give you a few words about, to say a few words about you, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Well, maybe it's okay. I was thinking actually. I stumbled upon banking like almost 20 years ago. I was thinking the other day how I never wanted to actually work in such an industry. I always wanted to change the world, like I guess everybody. And so I accidentally started working for a bank, and I even more accidentally ended up in HR. My background is fully business, so I sort of started working in the branch. Then I moved to retail, to the headquarters, and then I got an offer to set up the training program or the training center within HR from my previous CEO. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? It's about people, so it's interesting. So why not? So it was 16 years ago, or 17 years ago almost. And I don't know, I've never regretted it, even though I never hoped that I would actually do this, what I'm doing now.
Great story. And what's holding you in HR these days?
It is actually the possibility to change things and to see people, to talk to people, to actually understand, because sometimes we tend to, in corporations, to assume a lot of things. We assume that we know a lot of things, that we understand everything because we have the numbers, we have all the surveys, we have all the data. But then I think that from the HR point of view, and I don't want to sound like this like soft part of HR, that we are like psychologists talking to people and understanding their own problems. But I think if you want to understand the organization, you need to be in touch with people. You need to talk to people, because no survey is going to help you in a way that people from the organization can actually do that. And
this is a great intro for one of the questions I have here for this chat, and it's quite simple. Where current HR is and where it should be tomorrow? What do you think?
I have to say it's really a tough question, even though it sounds so simple.
Sorry.
Yeah. I know, but I have to say the other day I saw some friends and we were discussing actually about the HR, because one of my closest friends was like the really high level HR in one of the world known companies. So we were discussing about HR and how people sometimes tend to say like, do we really need this department? So what would happen if, HR would sort of disappear? So will it has somehow impact the business or not really impact the business? And I started thinking even more about it, like, because this is also my everyday job, to think about how we function today and how we can function tomorrow. I have to say that today we are still struggling. And I think this is not only for, let's say, our part of the world, but we are sort of still struggling to find our true place. Even though when you compare it to years ago, like it's a different world. It's like a different universe. However, I think that today we are still trying to find our place and how to actually not help the business, but how to participate within our own organization in the best possible way, and to actually enable and support our business to flourish in the best possible way. And I think we learned a lot from this COVID situation, and I think we will come back to that we actually had to learn a lot because we had to adapt so quickly, and we actually had to apply certain things that we were only reading in the books. About the change management, about the urgency, about all these things. So this is something that actually even forced us to change even faster and to adapt in a different way than what we expected in the past. So I think that we are actually evolving, that HR as a function has evolved quite tremendously. However, I still think that we have the space to actually adapt what we are doing to not only the corporate world or to the business needs per se, but also to our people working within this business. Because we sometimes tend to prepare the programs, prepare different initiatives, different action plans that sometimes land on the fertile ground, but sometimes it's like, okay, it's really nice to have them, but will this really bring results at the end of the day? And is this really something that every individual in the organization really needs? So I think that we do have this space to move forward in a sort of a different way, so that we can run parallelly with the business that we somehow were always trying to support. So I don't know if this answered the question, or you would like me to elaborate.
I have an additional question. You mentioned a friend of yours talking about HR disappearing. It got me thinking, well, okay, there are certain capabilities which HR provide to the company, and those capabilities cannot disappear. They maybe can be distributed around the company. In that case, HR as a department might not exist, God forbid. But let's say, if that happens, which capabilities of HR would you like to spread around the company?
I'm actually glad you're asking that question, because I was thinking a lot about the capabilities that we have, or better capabilities that we also should have. And I will use, because we are from the Balkans, and you know how people tend to be really expert in football and politics. So we always know, and we are always arguing like, well, what the hell, you have two left legs or something like that. I would do this, I would do it much better and stuff. So sometimes I think that people sort of think also about HR, that it's something that's like no brainer. Yeah, okay. So I mean, I'm looking
so true.
Yes, so I can do that for sure, even better, because what is that? I don't know, you can do it. And this is exactly, even though we have no capabilities to be the football player, or we have no capabilities to be, however, it is like not maybe the best role in our society, in our part of the world, but you know, we always tend to be really expert in politics, in what's going on in the public and stuff. So sometimes I think, or I had this perception about HR, or that people perceive us like, yeah, but this is something that anybody could do, or it's a really nice job for a lady, so that you don't get stressed, and that you can, you know, just have your days like are pretty calm and easy, and it's walk in the park. And this is exactly what got me started also about the capabilities, because usually, and it was like, I know it was really in the past, but we tended to think about HR like, okay, they deal with legal issues, so for sure they need someone who's a lawyer, and also they deal with people, so maybe they need some psychologists there. And that was the baseline. And of course, they need some accountants or something so that they can pay out salaries. And that's it. And then really it got me started. And I have to say that it also our cooperation that we started a couple of years ago played also the role. Because we, whether I cannot say that instinctively, but we understood that we as HR have a tremendous role in actually affecting the organization and the way we work. So that we cannot sort of delegate it to the business leaders to decide how certain things can be done. But it's also about us to actually open the doors for other possibilities. We started experimenting in our own department because we understood that we are overloaded, that we have a lot of things to tackle, that we have a lot of areas to take care of. So it's not only about paying out salaries or having the contracts, because this is like taken for granted. It's like a hygienic factor. So it's not about the real enabler for the business. And we started thinking what we could do. And you might even remember that we had this, I would say, like Kanban 0.1 or 1.0, sorry. It was like
proto
really,
Kanban, yes.
Yeah, it was like a really prototype. But we instinctively understood, even though we did not it was 4 years ago. I remember it was December 4 years ago that we started thinking about it. We had our own workshop. So we basically did everything ourselves because we understood the need that we need to work differently, that how we worked in the past simply didn't work for us. So we started on this journey, and understanding when we started working like this, somehow, not magically, but people started asking, what are you doing? Like, we can see that you are doing something differently. So what is actually going on? And then we understood that what we were doing by ourselves actually has the name, actually has the method, actually has certain principles. So that's you remember, this is when we asked you to actually come in and help us do it. And then we investing in us, in our own department and in our own capabilities to be maybe the buzzword evangelists, but nevertheless, we became the source of these capabilities for the organization. And we became the source of knowledge. And all of a sudden, they started coming to us asking for these capabilities and knowledge. And they recognized that we have built something that's not football or politics, that it's really something concrete that they would also like to implement within their own spheres of actual responsibilities. So I do believe that currently, what we can influence is really how we can set up our organization to work not only more effectively, I would say, but to work for the purpose that each organization have in the best possible way, so that it not only brings results, but it also people learn something new, have new capabilities, be ready for the future, and also deliver results at the end of the day.
I really like how you said not maybe evangelists, but then said source. Really good expression of what's happening and what, in my opinion, modern HR should be. The source of the change, the source of the movements, and then the source of the ability to adapt, as you said, for the things which will come tomorrow. You mentioned Kanban. Okay, it's a tool. It's a really nice and useful tool. What about let's say the culture and the team? How do you see the movements within the HR and the possibilities to let's say spread those team-related movements, the culture around the company? How, in your opinion, HR could help there?
It's really simple, by example. So, and I think, sometimes we tend to have all the action plans and the initiatives, 3-year action plan, how to change the culture. We all know that culture cannot be changed overnight. I mean, this is for sure. I mean, this has been proven. So it's not that we now have to preach that it's really difficult, that it really takes a lot of time. Yes, it takes a lot of time, but how you do it? It's not about sharing only the action plans and somehow trying to have some workshops and the change agents. Okay, it can contribute, but it's actually for I think the best way is actually to show how it can be done, to give an example how certain things can be done differently. I think a couple of years ago, and I'm not going to mention like what was the actual model, but I remember that there was a study done where they said like what has the biggest impact on the cultural change in the organization, and surprisingly, this survey found out that it's processes. So actually, when you show people and when you start doing things differently, then also it affects the culture. It also affects our behaviors and how we actually do things. So that there is this, I would say, connection or interconnection. And I think that we as HR, we should not only share the plans and organize workshops so that hoping that there will be a change at the end, because of course, if you are raising awareness and talking to people and, train them how to do certain things differently, that this is going to happen. But if you show that there are principles that can be implemented, that it's not hard to implement them, because every change is hard, but when you really start doing it step by step, and then you show to the organization that, look guys, this is what we tried, this is what is working for us, now you can also try it as well with the support. I'm not saying that we can just show it to people and then they will just say, wow, this is amazing, so I will do it. But it is about us giving the example. It is about also providing the tools and the support for the enabling this practice to actually become the part of the DNA within the organization. So I think that this is our role, and that the more and more this role is being recognized.
Yeah, lead by example, as one would say. I remember that we were working on Agile approach in Kanban, and that approach actually spread throughout the company. I remember you organizing that like a little fair, if that could be said. Could you tell us a bit more about that? What happened?
That's actually one of my fondest memories from Belgrade. For me, what was amazing, because usually when you start talking to HR people about Agile, or when you start talking about these practices, like everybody sort of first they get scared, because okay, it's something that's in IT, or it's in software development, or on the other hand, it's sometimes people think it's let's get together and do something in the Agile way, not understanding that there are certain principles behind it.
Of course.
And that it's not only about, wow, this is something like you have some party or something, so it's like Agile. No, so for sure, what was the outcome of our cooperation, if you remember that, what was amazing for me is, first of all, we did not have one size fits all approach. Because you can remember that, first of all, we understood that there are different needs within the organization, and that for sure these again, some would say like the buzzwords about the Scrum and other techniques, that they for sure work in certain teams, so that we needed to adapt. So, for example, you remember that in IT we had these two teams that actually started practicing or actually adapting or adopting the Agile principles in their own projects or in their own teams. And when they moved beyond where they will sit, that was like the most amazing thing, if you remember, then they worked like perfectly. So this was an amazing example. But then on the other hand, there were a lot of other departments that simply could not apply this. They needed something different. They needed something modified. And for them, what we did in HR, so our Agile approach, or how we approached it, so that we used Kanban. Okay, you could use different things. Okay, it's only the tool or the means to it. But the way we started working was more adoptable by different departments within the so-called rigid banking business. So for me, what was amazing is that we managed to adapt different approaches and different principles within the same organization. And what actually, I don't know if you remember, but after we started our Kanban, we had a lot of people coming to us asking whether they can participate in our stand-ups that were like every Monday morning, because for us it worked like once a week. And they were really, first of all, they were happy that they were allowed to participate, because they thought, well, it's HR, probably they are discussing something really sensitive about salaries or stuff like that. So they were surprised that actually we were not discussing about this. We were discussing about different topics that were more even strategic and were in a different way helping organization actually evolve and develop. So they were happy that they were able to be there, to first of all feel also the energy and also understand the process, how it's being done back then. And I still love the post-its, I have to say. You know, you have to actually stand up and move it from side to side. Well, now it's a different world, but okay. But then all of a sudden we had 5 or 6 different Kanban boards within the bank, and every single Kanban board looked differently. So it was not copy paste. Everybody understood, with your help, because you remember that we organized workshops and actually to help them set their own Kanbans. And I was so proud of them, because you remember that in one of the regional centers, they even developed like the code names and the code and the titles, so that nobody could understand what actually was behind it, but they could understand perfectly. And then when we organized the fair, the Kanban fair, for everybody who was interested to see how you can adapt the certain principles that seemed so foreign to us or seemed so strange. And we had even more people or even more departments coming and asking, we want this. So it's not about us organizing the training program and saying, now we are becoming agile at scale. Now we are going to go top down. Now you have to do it like this. You have to have an agile team. You have to have a squad or a tribe or whatever. No, actually, we took a completely different approach. And I think that's why it worked. We were lucky to also have the support of the management to do it a little bit top down, so that we could spread this culture or this practice around the organization. And it really helped a lot. And, you know, we combined agile and cakes and some sort of team building. And I think it was really amazing, because the result was, for me, was really, really outstanding.
Yes, it was a really nice experience. And what I learned from you at that situation is that we were able to focus on the principles, on the ways of working, not only on the boards and colorful post-its, but we were able to extract the core of the system and then offer that core to the rest of the organization, so that they can apply their own concrete tasks on those core principles and continue developing their Kanban systems in that case. And what's also maybe interesting in your example is that we were able to distinguish products in IT, and then moved agile approaches and agile mindset into more like service-oriented ways of working, which are quite different from IT. And that part was quite an achievement. I'm really happy to have that experience with you.
I have to also say, because now that you mentioned it, exactly, this was, I think, the biggest value added, that we managed to do this. But now I want to bridge also to capabilities. So the question that you asked me before, because in what we had, and I was lucky to also have in HR, and it would be really unfair not to mention the person who was actually like the guru behind. And I was so lucky to actually have within the team, and I think this is crucial. If we in HR do not have these capabilities or the mindset within our team to be able to drive this. So I have to say that I was personally really lucky to have people within the team who not only understood this, but had certain capabilities that are not found, or typically not found, in HR. So I was lucky to have also the project management office within HR, which is not a usual setup of the HR function, but these capabilities are extremely important. So I have to say I was lucky to have a person who was actually not only had these capabilities, but also the enthusiasm and also the willingness to share. So that bug was caught also in HR. So I think that bug is extremely needed, and not only the project management capabilities, but also trying to understand how we can evolve the type of work that we are actually doing within the organization. And I think that she also helped me open up and alleviate a little bit from the regular stuff that you have to deal in HR. You have to deal with these stuff every day. Like certain things are going on in the organization, you have to solve it, you have to burn, you have to extinguish this fire or that fire. But then you need to have the capabilities within the HR, the readiness to adopt and to adapt to these new to the new knowledge and new capabilities, in order actually to be able to spread this. So, and this is something that we need to develop in HR in order to be able to move forward.
That openness, that understanding of the volatility of the environment, and move the HR above the as you said, paychecks and low-level activities which you can basically outsource, but move forward and bring ways of working, such as iterations, such as experiments, improvement cycles, coaching at the end if needed for the rest of the organizations, and so on. Very nice said, actually. I have a set of questions which we wanted to go through, but we are of course jumping back and forth, which is completely fine and understandable. There's one question which we cannot avoid. Sorry, and it's related, of course, to 2020. So we know what happened, and we know that organizations had to adopt to new online ways of working, work from home, and so on. And many organizations succeeded, and I think there will be studies about that, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in at what cost we had to adopt to new ways of working, in your opinion.
I have to say one thing, because it's also important to understand the context, because back in March 2020, when in the Balkans, we were still a little bit laughing about the virus, and we were just, okay, we'll just go on and this will disappear. I found myself in Slovakia, because right now I'm like more than a year and a half there. So even though I never generalized about the cultural differences and stuff like that, but I understood that we were in a different context. And also Slovakia as a country had a sort of at the beginning, a different response to the COVID outbreak. So back on March 15th, if I remember correctly, they closed all the schools. So they closed everything. And what actually happened, that like over a couple of days' time, the span of time was a couple of days, where all of us found ourselves at home with all our families with us. So kids were not going to school. We had to adapt because our clients were just desperate, because they needed also the services. We had to secure that our people felt safe. So this was the most important thing. And you might remember that also there was a lot of debate whether masks are helping, not helping, whether we should buy them, not buy them, what we should do. This will disappear, this will not disappear. So we had a little bit of a, maybe at the very beginning, like a different experience, because we felt immediately the sense of urgency to adapt. It did not come gradually. It came like all of a sudden everything was closed and everything was locked. And amazingly, what happened is that we managed within weeks, and again, I'm talking about the team, again, I'm talking about the people, we managed to transform the certain core processes or activities to the online world. We managed to adapt so quickly that for all of us, it was like, oh, really? Because we were discussing certain things in January, how we could, remove certain papers or some signatures or simplify certain things. And then there were a lot of issues. We are at the bank. It's not so easy. We need to think about it. We need to analyze it. And all of a sudden, like we have the end of March, and all of a sudden, all of this is working. So we were working like the clockwork. We understood that we need to do it. It was literally, you either adapt or you are gone, and we adapted. So the amazing thing happened also, we then understood that it helped a lot our engagement, and it helped a lot like the cooperation and the culture, that we were already on the way to adapt, to change. Of course, and I have to say that because not all the companies were ready. And I have to say that, as for example, out of tools that we had, we used only Skype. So you can imagine how it worked. So that initial enthusiasm and that initial motivation, let's do it and let's change a lot of things, and we did it. And it was like a tremendous success, even with our kids. And with, all our families being actually at home. The good thing out of it was that I met a lot of wives and husbands and the dogs and cats and kids and everybody. So we got closer. Like it was a paradox that we actually became a lot closer when we had our cameras on, because what we had is like, you switch on the camera and then the connection goes down. So it was like the story of our lives, like not only for us but for everybody. However, what was the cost? We were hoping, and I think the whole world was hoping back in March and April, that in June we are free. So we will go through this. So it's not a problem. So we had that energy because we saw the end. But somehow, as we were approaching summer, then this end was sort of postponing all the time. And then we understood, okay, so now this is here to stay. And then we started talking about the new normality. Then we started talking about the new normal. Then we started talking, this simply, we need to adapt. And then all these companies around the world announced that they will work from home until the end of 2020 or 2021 or whatever, or forever. So I have to say that I also personally, what I understood, that at the end of the day, I think everybody was like, I felt so tired because I was in all these endless calls, of course. But what I think is that we have depleted our resources of energy, and we had to somehow recharge. And it was not only about the personal or the physical contact with people in the office, because I think it's important. We cannot simply say that we will work remotely forever, because we are human. We need other people. We need to discuss. We need to be able to, just now I don't feel like working. I'll just go to the next office, or I will just find someone to have a coffee with, so that we can discuss something. I have a lot of colleagues who are saying, like, I cannot work like this. There are a lot of people who say, I cannot work like this because we have the important project to think of, and it's impossible to have it only online. So I miss people. I miss seeing people. I miss coming to the office. I miss getting up in the morning and actually going somewhere else than my living room or my study room or whatever it is. And we had a lot of tips and tricks of how to do it. So, but these are all now, it became like the general statements. So we all know what we should do, but at the end of the day, again, we are creature of habits. So when we develop certain habits, then of course, I mean, after some time, you just don't feel like getting up, getting dressed, putting on the makeup and stuff like that. So I think that what was the biggest cost was, first of all, that we got exhausted after some time, and we need to recharge, and we need to see people. So we cannot just have this online contact, because we need to also see each other. We need to see each other as teams, because not everybody is willing to participate fully online or contribute fully online. It's a little bit of a different story. And also a lot of what I also understood is that not everybody was ready. We are not ready to just switch on and switch off. It's not that simple. We are not robots. So we also had to, and this again, we come to capabilities and the knowledge. We need to also develop certain capabilities and skills to actually use all these tools. Mm-hmm. We still have people who, okay, we can organize the Skype meeting. That's it. So I think that the prolonged period of time, we now understand that it's here to stay. Okay, so in Slovakia, we again have the total lockdown. So I now see, and I talk to people, that they have like a deja vu sort of a type of a story. So, okay, we are going back to that. I have my children, and you know what is the paradox also? That what is actually enabling us to work like this is also, at the end of the day, is actually a stumbling block. Because if you have, and it's just a typical family, you have 1 or 2 kids at home and you have like 2 adults, everybody needs a Wi-Fi connection. So not everybody can afford or understand that you have 2 Wi-Fis or 2 routers or I don't know what. So not everybody is IT skilled to secure all of this. So I don't know. I have yesterday we had a call, and a colleague of mine said, "I'm really sorry. I apologize, but I cannot switch on the video, because if I switch on the video, Wi-Fi is gone." So I think that for the prolonged period of time, it is really going to wear us out. So what we need is sort of I'm not saying even the balance, but we need to find that flexibility, because not all of us is able to invest the same amount of time in the online meetings and also offline, because we are all different. And I think that we need this flexibility, that hopefully one day this will be over, or we will get used to it, or we will all get vaccinated, or whatever happens. So we will come, not go back, but that we will find that flexibility. So yes, I can choose, and this is again HR, to enable that I can choose how I will work and what suits me better. But still, I can say that in our bank, even though we we completely even renovated the building during this, we are renovating the building during this.
I remember, yes.
To adapt to a different type of work, because we now understood what works for us, what doesn't work for us. But still, what we don't want to do, we don't want to have the fully remote workforce, because we need that contact. We need to be able to see each other. A little bit of a lengthy response, but I think that this is the most I would say longed for feature of our work.
I have another question and a few others which we will leave for the live connection after this pre-recorded interview, which I would like to touch here and ask you for your opinion and on or experience. So what I see is that things which used to happen implicitly in the office, like let's say a team leader visiting a team, listening for the atmosphere, for the tensions, understanding what's going on, communicating directly, just by being there without special knowledge about or awareness about doing that. It's missing now. You cannot jump into a virtual room in somebody's computer. And many things which used to be just natural, understanding what's going on around you, are missing now. How to tackle that problem? How to still have those information, that contact, but maybe in a more explicit way via computers. What do you think?
it's a tough one, because I know that there were a lot of, also tips and tricks, like you can switch your cameras on so you can like sort of work together, so that but that at the end of the day, and also you can like chat, like we have our cameras on. So I know that some teams tried it, so but it really, it's sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work, because sometimes you forget to switch on your camera, or sometimes it really doesn't work because you need to attend to your children, or you need to do something, so it's not easy. I don't think that there is the magic pill, and what we need to do is invest the time to actually reach out to people, because what I saw, and what some of my colleagues told me, that they feel like they are intrusive if they call someone on Skype or on Teams or whatever type of communication. They sort of think that they will interrupt them, because while in the office, it's like it's an office environment. So for sure, we are not, doing anything other than working or having a meeting or something like this. So it's much more natural to actually get up and go to the next office. Like this, they're even they have this perception that they are knocking on your door at home, that actually they are invading your privacy. So what for example worked for our team, we scheduled some meetings or some completely informal calls to try to actually be in touch. What I also sometimes do is I just call people just to say, how are you? Because it doesn't, but it takes an effort. While we're doing that in the office, it's simply like effortless. You just get up and go. While you are sitting in front of the computer, there are just a bunch of emails or a bunch of some messages coming up, and it's not so easy just to get up and go. You need to actually set your mind to do this. You need now to invest the effort and diligently and on purpose get in touch with people, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of not self-discipline but determination, and also not to forget, because then it's not like, when you get up and go to the office, you meet maybe someone else on the way, so you invite that person also over, so you can have the whole team there. And like this, you either have to organize the call and you have to make sure that everybody is available, or you actually have to call one by one, which takes time. So I don't think that we will ever be able to fully replace that personal contact through the online platforms, however sophisticated they are, and they are. I mean, but still, I think we are, as humans, we are social beings, and I don't think that it will ever be fully replaced in the most, I would say, efficient or human way.
I agree, and I guess the first step in getting better in this online is, as you said, to lead by example, and to set up the HR department to start behaving like that, and then spread the word.
Hello again.
Hi.
Hey, nice to see you again. And this was a really interesting chat we had last week and pre-recorded. So let's continue with. But how are you feeling today? Actually, let me ask you.
I'm trying not to show, but today is a very hectic day. Not because of this. I was looking forward to this conference, so to have to focus on some really important topics and to hear really interesting speakers as well, and to interact with you all. But as we have it, life happens, and unfortunately in Slovakia the situation related to COVID is not so great. So yeah, we are trying to organize the testing for all the employees today. So it's a little bit of interesting work, but okay, that's part of the job.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. we had a little small poll here in the chat, and a question was HR in my company, and the answer which got the most votes is HR in my company is on the front of changes, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. So, what would you say?
Well, I'm happy if that's the case and if really people perceive it. But I was actually I also listened to what we have talked in the interview like last week, and maybe it's not even that surprising because we actually had to take sort of the lead in the last year. So the situation also a little bit. I don't know you. I know you don't like the word push. Also, sort of maybe pulled us towards the more leading role in this because we found ourselves. And when I say we, I think the whole HR function. We found ourselves in the midst of the changes, and somehow it could not happen without us. So our importance grew also somehow rapidly, and not only to keep the health and safety of our employees, but exactly in all the changes, because it was not, you could not do it without the HR involvement. So yeah, I am surprised, but I'm not surprised now with this outcome. So, and I'm happy to hear that actually.
Yeah, me too. We have quite a few questions, which we'll hopefully answer at least, if not directly, then through chat. And one question is quite interesting to me. See, I'm using Post-its, haha. In this year of sudden change, or last year of sudden change, which skills the people from the team had that you hadn't even count on? What surprised you, basically, in a positive way?
I have to say that the biggest improvement I saw is that time to solve. Let's put it that way, because some issue to actually deal with and to tackle with, we were able to do it much faster. So we managed to focus a little bit better. And there were not so many distractions and so many unproductive or even unnecessary meetings. Davor, I lost you.
Yeah, me too. But I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you, but I can only see myself. Okay, we are back. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. And so I would say this was the most important, that we were able to focus a little bit more, but I wouldn't say that was the crucial skill. What we acquired through this time, and also what I saw in my team, was the ability to interact, and was the ability to really use all the resources and the tools to solve certain problems, or to bring something positive for our colleagues as well. So these were it ranged from all of a sudden we could digitalize certain processes in HR. We will not require our people to send something by mail or to sign something because there are workarounds. I think it was the resourcefulness, and it was the willingness and the readiness to look at things from a different perspective, and to try to find a solution, and to try to find a workaround that would suit our colleagues much better than what we had in the past. So this was really good, I would say. And also the cross-functional collaboration. So we had self-managing teams, and we had people actually working on different aspects in a completely different way than what was used to in the past. So I would say this was the main outcome.
So the year 2020 showed us that we can actually bring the agility on a better level, higher level. Now,
yes,
it's up to us to keep it on that level, huh?
Exactly. I have to say, maybe it's not really popular, but I miss Post-its. And you said you're using Post-its, and back in March, well, we actually had to dismantle the Kanban board from our office, and we moved to Trello. Okay, so now we are also trying to use some other tools, but nevertheless, yes, we have transformed this physical physical, let's say, sense of dealing with things into the online, into the virtual world. And it's still working, I have to say. So we have virtual post-it.
The best we can have now. And maybe just one question more, because we are quite close to our the expiration of our session. How would you like to have your organization in 2 or 3 years from now? And what modern HR can do about it?
I think we are actually already started somehow on this journey, and we have more and more people coming to us and asking, "What are you doing? What is that Kanban you are using?" We have our IT saying, "Ah, look, we are using this. Can you please help us get this into the organization?" So my dream is that we are more flexible and that we are able not to be structured in a way, the regular style. This is the HR function, or I don't know, HR business partnering, or this is the L&D, or these are the things, but that we are able to actually form teams that will help the current issues, or that will help solve something that's extremely important. And my dream is really to be able to also transfer it to the organization. And more this is happening because we not only had to adapt, but we understand that we need to change the way we work. And I think we discussed this before, and it was also today in the first in the first presentation, or in the first interview, also mentioned how we should change and how certain teams are functioning differently, how we cannot have the one-size-fits-all approach everywhere. So this is really important, to be able to play this organizational Tetris in a way that it actually suits that business. Because, we are going, either we want it or we don't want it, the banking is going through a huge transformation. And so we adapt as we go. But we need to be really fast, and this is what we understood. So in order to be really fast for our clients, we also need to do it internally, because we need to support these internal processes, how we actually build these products or these services for our clients. At the end of the day, it's what we do for our clients and how they react to what we are doing. So this is the front end. In the back end is actually how we set up these things. And I think that HR can really play the role there, but we need to also adapt. We need to have the mindset that yes, we are able to change and we are able to focus on what brings value. So this is something that I believe will be crucial for the future, especially if we keep on working like this.
And the year 2020 actually proved that we are able to do that.
Yes.
So we have time for maybe one more question. Let's see. Josip is asking, can you share what is the area you saw most improvement, and give a concrete example? The most improvement in, I would say, interaction from the HR perspective.
From the HR perspective. Well, I would definitely say that the biggest improvement was actually really how to prepare the workarounds and how to improve our processes. Because in the past, and maybe you will be surprised, but also Slovakia as a country is pretty tough from the regulatory point of view. So there are a lot of things that you have to have in written, that you have to have signed, that you have to have in paper form. So I was really proud to see my team being able to come up with solutions to somehow respect the regulatory aspect, but still being able to change our internal processes to suit our colleagues much better. So that was the one where I saw the biggest improvement, I must say. And the other was the care for employees. In terms of, yes, we are there for our people, and let's make everything happen so that they feel, first of all, safe, and second of all, protected from certain things, so that we are able to provide also different benefits. So we all of a sudden had different even benefits or different services for our people. So we were able to adapt there in the quickest way. So I would say that this was, for me, the most valuable, I would say, improvements. There were others, but these two for me were the most valuable.
So like a shield, you were shielding
yes.
the people.
Yeah, and,
Yeah, very
and
good.
in HR, and the readiness also to experiment, because we set up self-managing teams within HR, like trying out, experiment. So we said, why not? And especially the situation was helping us because we had to work remotely, we had to work virtually. So this helped a lot, so that people could not rely on the managers per se to decide, to give guidance, to actually give instructions. So this was something that also worked really, really well for us. And I must say, I'm really proud of my team, how they were willing to adapt and to adopt.
Fantastic. Maybe to take a look at yet another question. Which skills do you think are crucial for current and future organizational leaders to embrace and build up on?
First of all, I think without even it might sound as the buzzword, but without adaptability, we cannot make things happen. So first of all, we need to be able to adapt. So this, I would say, is the crucial skill or the trait that we should have. However, this is also to be really digitally skilled, and this also goes for HR, because this is something that we need to improve. And I think not maybe some high-tech organizations, but for example, what I see in our industry, this is one of the aspects that we are definitely working on. So this is another thing. And also, I think that we, as in HR particularly, and I think Davor, we discussed it a long time ago, it's also about the possibility to design our, not product, but our services or what we are doing for the organization in a different way. So I think that we also need to use what's best from, for example, from marketing, from the customer journeys, from the customer experience to actually apply it in HR. So if I say that it's design thinking or some agile skills, well, it might sound a little bit too high level, but I think that this is exactly about how to apply these things so that we are able to actually help also the business design either the programs or either the services best fit to their needs through using different tools that are not usually maybe or previously not used in HR. But this is something that I believe is really important, and this is something that we have decided to invest also in our team.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Hope to see you in person soon.
Oh yes, I hope so too. We miss that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you again. Ciao.
Ciao.